Welcome to the Parallel Press. My name is James Garner, joined once again by Aiden Whitehead as we preview the exciting weekend of men's gymnastics.
Yeah, James, we got some really exciting matchups this weekend in the conference championships. It's a big week for the athletes as well as us. We're all really excited for this weekend. We'll see a lot of close action this week, I believe, especially in the Big Ten. In the past, we've seen some more heavy favorites. I think it'll be really close this year, unlike other years.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of storylines that we're going to take you guys through. Primarily, we're going to be looking at the 4 most recent scores from each team and seeing how they've done as of recently. There's 13 teams competing for 12 spots for nationals, which is coming up in just 2 weeks. So we'll be sure to cover that and see who's going to make it.
So starting off with Michigan here, so they really are the favorite. Like I said earlier, it'll be close. But Michigan has been the best team in the Big Ten all year so far. They've got an average in the last 4 of a 4.9783, which is a huge score there. Their peak is about a 412.85. So, Michigan has been the dominant team, and they've been the favorite so far in the Big Ten. But like I said earlier, there are some other teams that can sneak in there.
Yeah, Penn State's one of those teams. They haven't really had the year that they've wanted to so far, but they are dangerous based on talent, and they could sneak into the top 3 if everyone hits the routines. They are peaking at the right time. Their most recent score was their highest score at a 401, which is a pretty solid score, breaking the 400 mark. And, this weekend they're actually hosting the Big Tens, and last time they hosted the Big Tens, they won it all, so we could maybe see that happen again, Aiden.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so now moving on to one of the most dangerous teams, I believe, is the Fighting Illini from Champaign, Illinois. They posted a 416 in their most recent meet, which is the second highest score in all of college gymnastics, not even just the Big Ten. It's the highest Big Ten score throughout the entire season. And Illinois is really a balanced team, right? They have one all-around at Hamish Carter, who could win the Big Ten all-around title. He's probably fighting with Paul Jude and maybe some other guys for that top spot in the all-around. But as a team, Illinois is really one of the most consistent teams. They're really balanced. They hit 30 for 30 in this meet where they put up 416 and didn't have a single score below 13. So, that's just an insanely balanced team. We would like to see what Hamish Carter can do this weekend. Alright, so we have Ian Sturkey here, who honestly is this cycle's version of Steven Edorowski and Alec Yoder. He won last year's NCAA Finals on the pommel horse, and this year he posted a 15-4 with this insane routine that we're about to watch. Ian Sturkey is one of the reasons the pommel horse is the best event for Illinois. It's also, they're the best team in the country in Illinois, as we see Ian Sturkey do an amazing E-flop there. Into the full gears here. There's his first one. He's got the second one coming up. I love how flat he keeps his hips. But Ian Sturkey is just a beast in the pommel horse. 15-4. Insane score. Illinois is just one of the best teams all around in the pommel horse. And Ian Sturkey is a big reason why. Just a big routine here, right, James?
Oh, yeah, for sure. His hips have been extended the entire time. He's got great lines.
Exactly.
He's just flowing through everything.
And then this is the dismount here. He's going to do the triple Russian, which most athletes proceed to do a handstand dismount, usually with 1 or 2 pirouettes. Sturkey's doing the triple Russian dismount. Make sure to get the flank up and high so he doesn't get any deduction for that. So Ian Sturkey, he's just an insane. He's a beast on the pommel horse. The favorite to win the Big Ten title on the pommel horse and probably the NCAA title to repeat that title for him.
Here we see Ohio State's most recent meet against Nebraska. And Ohio State actually pulled off the upset against Nebraska, and they shocked the gymnastics world with this meet here. It was their final home meet of the season, and in doing so, they clinched a share of the regular season Big Ten title with Michigan. Now, OSU is actually ranked number 4 in the Big Ten, despite pulling off the upset against Nebraska and clinching a share of the regular season title. But as for Nebraska, they were coming in a heavy favorite in the meet. They were outscoring Ohio State by over 10 points, and they're number 4 team in the country, yet Ohio State was able to pull off the upset. Now, going into these last 2 routines here, Sam Phillips went right up before Jesse Tyndall. Now, they were actually tied, but Sam Phillips put up a 13-3. So Jesse Tyndall here needed at least a 13-3 in order to secure the win for Ohio State. And here we can see the routine that helped clinch them the win.
Yeah, 13-9, big score with a big Takamoto right there from Tyndall. Absolutely beautiful, getting all the angles. Also pretty nice on the Takav, which connects into the Tkachev. So it will get the connection bonus with the new code of points. Huge Tkachev there as well. Yeah, you just can't say enough how big that moment was for Ohio State. They were not even really expecting to come out with the Big Ten title, but they did. They got the job done. Maybe the members of the team were expecting it, but maybe not the fans. Double dismount.
Almost got the stick there, but still a great routine from Jesse Tyndall,
yeah,
which helped clinch them the win.
Huge routine there. Tyndall's the team captain. He's the senior. He's the guy for Ohio State. So for him to go last and secure them the share of the Big Ten title, it's just an insane moment. You can't overstate it enough.
It's got to mean a lot to him and those guys on the team.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move on to the ECAC, the Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference. It's really closer than ever before. Navy is probably the favorite, but the other 3 teams in Army, William & Mary, and Springfield, they're all so close. You see the averages there between William & Mary and Springfield. 0.005 separates them, so it'll be so close. And we know, as we mentioned earlier, there's 13 teams, and 12 of them qualified to nationals. So one of the bottom three between Army, William & Mary, and Springfield unfortunately will not qualify to nationals. So it's just a huge meet. They're all fighting for that title to earn a spot in the NCAA championships.
Now here we can see Navy score from their past 4 meets. Now they've improved over these last 4 meets, and they're peaking at the right time. They put up a 385, then a 389, followed that by a 397, and they actually broke 400s at the USAGs, which if they do that again, they'll easily win. You know, they've had a great recruiting class, especially Isaiah Drake, who was a consensus top 3 recruit, and some sites actually had him as the #1 ranked recruit in the country. He's been a great all-arounder this year, and he's helped lead the team to the top of the ECAC.
I'm going to go ahead and look at Isaiah Drake here on the vault. His high score of the season with a 15-0, and just take a look at this thing. Absolutely beautiful 15-0 vault from a 15-2 start value. I believe he scored so high in the execution is because of the distance he got away from the table. Right, so a lot of people don't know this, but there actually is a deduction for being too close to the vault table that I think a lot of vault judges take, and people don't even realize it. Isaiah did a really good job here of getting away from the table, as well as getting the height. I was in clean form in the air too, and obviously he got the stick, so well-deserved 15-0 score for him on the vault.
Here we can see the other 3 teams in contention for the ECAC, and as you can see here by their scores, it's a very close competition between these 3 schools. Now Army has the highest ceiling, as they posted the highest score out of these 3 teams at a 387.5, but they also have the lowest floor, only posting a 374.85. However, that meet was a few weeks ago, but still, we'll have to keep an eye out for Army and see how they compete.
Yeah, Springfield is one of those teams that they haven't had like the best year that they've wanted to. They had a really big recruiting class, but also like a really young team. I believe 16 out of their 2014 members on the team are freshmen or sophomores. So it's a really young team there for Springfield. And to beat Army this year for the first time in 12 years, so a huge win there for Springfield. And that's actually the last time Army competed, so they're coming off that loss to Springfield. So maybe that gets in their head a little bit. Hopefully not there for Army. Springfield posted 375.95, 378, 381, 375 again at USAGs. So they're pretty consistently in the 375 to 380 range. But I've talked to some members on the team, and they believe they can crack the 390 mark, which would be a huge score for them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they've also faced off against William & Mary, who's performed pretty consistently all year. You know, posting 377s in their 2 of the most recent meets, as well as 381. So they're pretty consistent there at the high 370, low 380 range. Yeah, they've faced each other a lot this year. They were tied at 2-2, and now William & Mary's won the most recent meet. So now they're up 3-2 in the series. Now Army's 3-0 against William & Mary. But Army's actually 1-1 against Springfield this year because of that one win.
Yeah, I believe that one of the biggest factors that coming into this meet, most of the competition is actually William & Mary. So that could give them like a little bit of confidence boost because they're on their own equipment. Also, they're in their home stadium, might have some more crowd advantage with them. Springfield's looking to qualify for the NCAA championships for the first time in a very long time. I'm not even sure they've ever done it in history. Springfield, they're just looking to hopefully edge out one of these teams and be able to qualify for the NCAA championships.
Yeah, again, one of these teams won't qualify because there's 13 teams, but only 12 teams qualify for nationals. So it's most likely that one of these teams won't make it. So it's a very important meet for these 3 teams.
Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to the MPSF, the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation. Obviously with the top 2 teams in the country, Stanford, Oklahoma. These teams are just insane. They have Olympic hopefuls on both teams. It's just like we haven't been let down at all by Stanford, Oklahoma this season. So in the same conference as Cal and Air Force battling probably for the 3 and 4 spots. These are 2 very close teams, and it'll be a close meet for the 3 and 4.
Scores. As we can see by the scores here, Cal's been on a little bit of a decline. They posted a 401 a couple weekends ago. However, since then they posted a 390, then a 389, then a 396, which are still very respectable scores. Air Force, on the other hand, has actually been pretty consistently hitting the 390s recently. They were at a 380, but since then they posted about a 395 average in their last 3 meets, which is really impressive for both of them. Yeah, Cal definitely has the higher potential here, as we see, because they posted the higher score. But Air Force has been sneakily good this year. They could make a push for that 3 spot, or if Oklahoma or Stanford happens to have like a terrible meet, then they could maybe move into the 2nd spot there. But either way, I'll be excited to watch these two teams battle it out.
Yeah, as James mentioned, Air Force has been sneakily good this season. That's mainly because of Garrett Broughton. He was a little bit inconsistent last year, but Garrett Broughton has been a beast all year for Air Force. Last week he was the CGA GymAC Gymnast of the Week as he edged out Isaiah Drake in the all-around. Isaiah Drake, as we mentioned earlier, was a top 3 recruit last season. So Garrett Broughton edged him out with an 81.45 to Drake's 81.15. We see Broughton's scores here on the bottom. On floor, he got a 14.2, a huge score there. Vault 14.45. Stayed in the 13s on most of the other events too. Palmer was 13.6. So just some big scores there. 4.5. Garrett Broughton to get the 81.45. He's been the leader for this Air Force team, and he was also the GymAC Gymnast of the Week last week at USAGs.
Now we're going to take a look at Stanford and Oklahoma, the clear-cut 1 and 2, and not only the MPSF but also the NCAAs. Now, Stanford came into the year as the heavy favorite, and they're still the heavy favorite to win it all this year. But don't back off of Oklahoma. They're still a very good team. If we look at their scores, they posted a 414 twice as well as a 408. But if you look at Stanford's a 410 in their past 4 meets, including a 412, a 415, and a ridiculous score of a 419, which is just almost unheard of.
Yeah, 419 is just ridiculous. We've never seen that in NCAAs. Stanford is one of those teams that, I mean, could, like, at their full potential, they could break 420. I mean, Stanford is just ridiculous, and they're getting more guys back since Winter Cup. They posted it, like, just insanely good scores. A few years ago, we saw Yule lead Oklahoma to not only his all-around titles, but also the team to win it, the team titles. And now we're seeing Brody do the same thing at Stanford. But Brody's a senior this year, so after Brody graduates, will Stanford fall off, or will they? I mean, they're so deep, so I don't think they'll fall off. And they're also getting the #1 recruit in Asher Hong, who I think is like the best recruit that this country has seen in the past few decades. I mean, Asher Hong is just a beast, and we all know that.
Yeah.
But for this year, Stanford should be the favorite, as they are. But it's still going to be so fun to watch these two teams compete in the same arena, both tonight as well as in 2 weeks.
Yeah, not only the main guys like Brody Malone or Riley Luce, but also some of the up-and-coming freshmen. We know guys like Coy Young, Fuzzy Bennis, who've been studs this year. But also there have been a bunch of other guys who've flown under the radar, who've helped bring these teams and make them what they are.
Nick Kubler. So yeah, definitely, James. One of these guys is Nick Kubler. Here we're gonna watch his floor routine. This dude, I mean, he's just insane. He's an animal. We're gonna see him with a 14.6 score, ridiculous score. This is a world-class routine and a world-class score. Round off into the double-double. I love how clean he is on his landings. We're gonna see that throughout the entire routine. It's not just that one pass.
Yeah, just a small hop there. He almost had the stick.
Beautiful full double front. With just a small step back. He looked a little shocked in the landing, which I'm sure the judges took a deduction on. But still, he didn't take like too big of a step out of it. Front double pike third pass with just, I mean, barely even a bobble. That's insane.
Wow. A very impressive landing.
And Kubler, I mean, it's just one of those guys that like not many people talk about, but he gets the job done for Stanford.
And he's just a freshman too, right?
Yes, he is. He's mainly been on the floor and pommel horse this season, which is a little bit of a weird combination. Usually, if it's a pommel horse specialist, they're only doing that event. I mean, it's a floor specialist, so they're doing floor and vault. But floor and pommel horse is also doing high bar a few times, I believe. But Nick Kubler, I mean, he's just been showing up where he needs to, posting big scores for Stanford.
He's one of those guys who doesn't get the recognition he deserves, so.
Yeah. I mean, Stanford's so deep. They have so many guys. So even to make a lineup is just incredibly hard on Stanford. You've got to be one of the top athletes in the entire country. I believe he's getting into his dismount here. Double Arabian half out dismount. Insanely hard dismount. And he took a small hop. All of Kubler's landings were just so clean. And that's why you're on the 14.6 score.
Radar for the guys who kind of flies under the radar for Oklahoma is Raydel Gamboa, who's also just a freshman. Now he's been helping out. He's been competing on a couple events here and there for Oklahoma, and he's one of the reasons that they've gotten to this #2 spot in the country. Now here we can see his high bar routine. He goes right into the Zuliman there, which is a beautiful skill.
I love Raydel Gamboa. I mean, I love his technique. Watch his Coleman here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. The way he kicks out of it, I mean, he just has a lot of flair and just perfect technique. He has a lot of basics that you can tell he worked on as a junior gymnast, and it's really paying off for him as he's leading Oklahoma to the #2 team in the country. Huge Tkachev there.
I was about to say, he got so high above the bar. You can see just the amount of pure power he has.
Yeah. A lot of power, but he doesn't look too powerful. Right, he's keeping his gymnastics very clean. I mean, he's a pretty skinny guy, too, so you don't think that he'd be generating that much power, but he just does because of the beautiful technique.
He's just flowing right through all these skills there. Oh, and with the stick, too.
Yeah, double dismount with the stick. I mean, incredibly hard routine, and he kept it so clean. That's what I love about Raydel Gamboa. That's why you're under 14.15.
Here are some ways to watch the championship meets this weekend. If you want to watch the Big Ten Championships, they're going to be from Friday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on the Big Ten Network for teams and all-arounds, and then Saturday at 7 Eastern and 4 Pacific on the Big Ten Network for the event finals. And both days are also streamed on the Fox Sports app.
Saturday at 1:30 will be the ECAC Championships, actually streamed live on Verdi's for free. There will be a pregame show at about 1:30, and the competition will kick off at 2. So there's like a little bit of a pregame show like before the actual meet kicks off. There'll actually be live commentary with Sam McCulick. So that's really cool for Verdi. It's really cool for the ECAC conference.
Yeah, and then at 9 o'clock Eastern Pacific on MPSsports.org, we will see the MPSF Championships, and we'll post the live results on Verdia, so be sure to check those out.
Yeah, there's 9 o'clock Eastern for the MPSF, 6 o'clock Pacific. And there will be a link in the description to all these meets. The MPS Sports, you do need a subscription, but there is a 7-day free trial you can also sign up for. There will be a link in the description, as I mentioned earlier. And I think the coolest thing about this is none of these competitions overlap. So Friday, there's only the Big Ten Championships. Then on Saturday, you can kick it off with the ECACs at 1:30. Then that night at 7 o'clock, you get and then the Big Ten event finals. And then at 9 o'clock that night is the team, individual event, and all-around finals for the MPSFs.
Thank you guys for watching. This has been the parallel preview of Championship Weekend. Who do you guys think is going to claim the title for their conference? Who do you think is going to be the Big Ten all-around champion? And which team unfortunately won't qualify for the NCAA Championships? Find all of it out this weekend and tune back in for the parallel postgame coming out next week.